Hello and welcome to the first episode of this series on social capital and tourism leadership. I'm Dr. Jeremy Fairley and I'm your host for this evening. And I wanted to start with a simple observation, one that most of us intuitively understand but rarely stop to name. And that is, tourism is functionally relational. Destinations are not factories. They are not linear supply chains. They are not single organizations with clean reporting structures and clear lines of authority. They are living systems made up of people, institutions, histories, identities, incentives, and most importantly, relationships. Every visitor experience is shaped by a web of interactions between public and private sectors, between residents and visitors, between DMOs and community partners, between brands and places, and also between policy and practice. Tourism does not function because of a single strategy document or a clever campaign. It functions because people choose to work together, sometimes willingly and oftentimes, as we see, reluctantly, but within a shared space. And yet, when we talk about tourism strategy, we rarely talk about relationships as an asset. We talk about budgets, we talk about KPIs, we talk about brand positioning, air service, yield, visitation, sentiment scores. Now, all of those do matter, but traditional strategy often treats relationships as background noise, something assumed to exist rather than something that is actively cultivated. That is where many tourism strategies quietly fail. They look strong on paper, they check all the right boxes, they're technically sound, but they underestimate the human infrastructure required to make them work. And that is why this series exists. Across these upcoming episodes, I want to introduce and then deeply explore social capital as a leadership lens for tourism, not as an abstract academic concept, but as a practical way to understand why some destinations collaborate effectively, while others remain stuck in silos, turf wars, or surface-level partnerships. In this first episode, we are going to answer a fundamental question. What is social capital? And why does tourism, perhaps more than any other industry, depend on it? Now, social capital refers to the value embedded in relationships. It is the set of resources that become available to individuals or organizations because of who they know, how they relate to others, and the shared norms that guide behavior. Social capital, despite the name, is not about being social. It is not about networking for its own sake. It is not just about goodwill. It is about access. It is about trust. It is about coordination. It is about shared meaning. There are three core dimensions of social capital: structural, relational, and cognitive. Now, to quickly break down each, structural social capital is about connections. Who is connected to whom, how frequently they interact, and through what formal or informal channels they exist. Think of it as building a house. What's the first thing you do? You lay a foundation. Relational social capital is about trust and relationship quality. So whether commitments are honored and whether collaboration is reciprocal. And for anyone who's worked for a long period of time or a short period of time in destination marketing, you understand the value of trust and relationships. Cognitive social capital is about shared understanding, shared language, shared values, shared narratives, and interpretations of success. A quick example here is, a destination or a DMO is in charge of selling a vision of what that destination is. It is on the stakeholders and the people in the community to actually execute on that promise that it gets made by the DMO. So with that, both of those entities need to be on the same page and again, have that shared language, shared values, narratives, and etc. But tourism magnifies the effects of social capital because it is a complex adaptive system. Now, for those of you academics listening, that should be a familiar concept. But we're not going to spend a ton of time on that in this episode, but please rest assured we will explore it in episodes down the road. But authority is distributed. Outcomes emerge from interaction, and influence flows enough trust and credibility more than formal power. So here's a quick example. Many destination partnerships look strong on paper, but they do struggle in practice. There may be steering committees, boards, strategic plans, formal agreements. Structurally, everything appears sound. But relational trust may be uneven. Past experiences may have created some degree of skepticism. Smaller stakeholders may feel present but unheard. Cognitively, partners may be operating with different definitions of success: economic growth versus quality of life versus sustainability or brand equity. or a combination of all of those. The result is symbolic collaboration, partnerships that exist in form but not in function. Adding more structure rarely solves this problem. What is needed is intentional investment in trust and shared meaning. Now, from the leadership perspective, collaboration often fails not because stakeholders are unwilling, but because social capital has not been intentionally developed. The reason for that, trust may be assumed, alignment may be implied. Relationships are activated only when needed. I'll say that last one again. Relationships are activated only when needed. In a sense, they become transactional. The mind shift is this: collaboration is not an event, it is a capacity. Leaders must look beyond who is at the table and ask, who trusts whom? Where is influence informal? Where is alignment fragile? Social capital grows through consistency, transparency, and reciprocity. It grows when leaders create space for listening and sense-making, not just decision-making. In closing, tourism is a strategy that is fundamentally about relationships at scale. Social capital determines whether a destination can adapt, innovate, and lead, or whether it remains stuck in performative collaboration. In episode 2, we will explore structural social capital in depth, how destination networks function, how power flows, and how leaders can design connection without over-engineering collaboration. But until then, consider this. What changes when relationships are what changes when relationships are treated not as a byproduct of strategy, but as strategy itself? Think about it. That's it for now. Looking forward to the rest of this series, and I'm Dr. Jeremy Fairley. Thanks for listening.